Now it's time for No Pucks Given with Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Penguin Scoop's locker room buzz and straight-up analysis. No fluff, all hockey. Now, here's Dan.
And here we go. It is No Pucks Given on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. I am Dan Kingerski, and I'm going to put myself on the screen here just about now. Hi, how you doing? We are recording this Sunday evening. Probably a good thing I'm not recording it midday Sunday when everybody was just absolutely bonkers and crazy over the Team USA gold win. I must say, let me adjust my... It's dark, and the lighting in my studio isn't great, but what a day. The Penguins were kind of buzzing in the room, and as Kevin Hayes said, it was a win-win situation for him because obviously he's an American. He's close to some of the guys on the team. Obviously close, very close to Johnny Gaudreau, who was honored after the game. But also he's like, but I'm also close to Sid. So it was a win-win for me. That's probably a fair way to put it. I will tell you, I went out to watch the game to the neighborhood pub, which is actually not even a block away. It's actually out my back door, 20 yards, and I get to stumble into that back door. I figured I'd have a few beers, watch the game. I realized very quickly, and you might have realized the exact same thing, about 5 or 10 minutes into the game, this was no joke. And I'm like, I put the beer aside. Let's do some coffee. Got myself a good old-fashioned Irish breakfast, a couple of eggs, sunny, bacon, sausage, and a banger with some home fries, and the entire place. Now, it wasn't like overflowing. I mean, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to watch hockey. Even in my neighborhood, you're not going to get everybody out for it. I was curious who I was rooting for, although you can see... Yeah, I got for those of you on the video side, I have a vintage 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey jersey. It is the only sports team wear that I own. I own no T-shirts, no jerseys, no hats. Well, I guess I have a Hartford Whalers hat before the Carolina Hurricanes claimed them, but now I can't wear that even. That's it. That's all I have. And this is a number 10 Mark Johnson jersey that I am sporting. I dust it out once every so many years for a World Junior final, Olympic final, and I put it on today. I was curious how I would react to the end, but you know what? When Jack Hughes, missing teeth, rips the game winner, like everybody else, I went nuts. Threw the hands in the air like I cared. And for a few minutes, it was kind of nice. I did actually care. There's nothing I can add to the game. You probably have the exact same thoughts I did. Connor Hellebuyck will forever be remembered alongside Mike Eruzione. He'll be remembered alongside, the Mark Johnsons and Jim Craigs because he stole a game from Canada. I think the final shot tally was 42-28, and so many great saves by Hellebuyck. The one on Devin Taves, just unbelievable, reaching back, but there were a dozen more. Listen, Bill Guerin, he took the criticism. He shrugged his shoulders. I don't know how they did it, but they did. That was not the best American team that could have been on the ice. I thought you saw that in the second and third periods. People are giving Nate McKinnon all kinds of crap because, after the game, he said, well, I'll let you judge for yourselves who was the better team today. Well, clearly that was Canada. I mean, I feel like Herb Brooks, they play that game 10 times, they win 9 of them. And that's true. If they play that game 10 more times, Canada wins 9 times. Not today, gentlemen. This is your time. It was amazing to watch Jack Hughes smiling. Tell me Jack Hughes, in one moment, didn't rewrite his entire narrative, his entire career arc, the entire perception of his reputation changed in a heartbeat. That smile missing chiclets, the goal, yeah, it was something, wasn't it? I will tell you, tactically, in the first period, I gave Mike Sullivan, head coach Mike Sullivan, a lot of props. The USA brought a forecheck. They didn't bring a little boy. They brought the big boy forecheck. They were essentially playing a Carolina Hurricanes man-on-man. They took advantage of Canada's sort of banged up, but also Canada's lack of really good puck movers on the blue line, with the exception of Cale Makar, of course. Canada didn't move the puck up nearly as well as the U.S. So even though the U.S. wasn't able to generate a lot of offensive pressure in the second and third periods, they were able to alleviate enough of the pressure with, good puck movement, getting it out. Sullivan brought a wicked forecheck in the first period, which I thought Team USA executed extremely well. But John Cooper adjusted, and Team Canada's significant talent advantage really began to show through. Once Canada unwound USA's forecheck, they were able to enter the zone with controlled zone entries. They were able to get deep, work low to middle, low to high, and back to the middle and back, low and around the net, and get some pretty good scoring chances. I can't tell you after the first period much that Team USA did well on the fun side of the red line. They really were just, they had the fists up and they were taking the punches. They took away the middle of the ice. I don't care what anyone says. You're going to have all the players are going to deny what I'm about to tell you. That 4 feet of ice shortage, the huge difference. It allowed the defenseman that if you give an NHL defenseman an extra step, I mean, come on. And that's what the tournament was. Quarterfinal, semifinal, and the final was really all about these teams playing really tight. You had the lesser teams, Czechia, Finland, able to take away the middle of the ice because they, that extra step to get back in place kind of took away an extra step from the Canadian forwards, especially. I thought, I think I should probably end it there because I was going to say, oh, well, this player would have added this element for the USA and not including this player would have added this. But ultimately, they got it done. They won. 46 years to the day since the miracle on ice. And I thought it was pretty fantastic as well. The Kachucks and Dylan Larkin, and I don't know who else raced over to Meredith Gaudreau, grabbed Johnny Jr. and his daughter, brought them out onto the ice with the jersey. It was just something special. I guess this being in theory, a Pittsburgh Penguins podcast. And by the way, Vince Comunale will be joining me momentarily. We're actually going to talk about the Penguins. We're going to talk about the trade deadline, refiring the season 2.0. I've been going on about the Olympics. I can't believe it. It's almost 10 minutes that I have just sort of steamrolled through this conversation. But Sidney Crosby, of course, universal praise in the Penguins locker room. I mean, if they didn't praise him, you'd be shocked, right? just think about what Sidney Crosby did. And I'm going to tell you something. In the exact same position, maybe not the exact, similar, back in 2002, Mario Lemieux played in the gold medal game against Team Canada. Think about that. Remember, Lemieux needed surgery just after the Olympics. We're going to bring in Vince here momentarily. So Sidney Crosby, with the entire world watching, says, you know what? I'm not well enough to play near my best. Somebody else would be better. He could have dressed as the 13th forward and been able to be put in at some point in the game. What character? I mean, to selflessly give. And we're going to bring in Vince. Vince, I can hear you. Mute yourself there for a second or two before I get you. Where is Vince? How do I... If I maximize... Oh, now it's all Vince. There we go. Vince Comunale. And Vince, I was praising Team USA as I'm actually here in my jersey.
Oh, I was going to put my jersey on too, but I went with the hat instead.
That works. I thought about, because I've got a Team Canada hat that I bought in Toronto rather, during the bubble when I was quarantined up there. I was so happy just to get out after 2 weeks of being cloistered in a single room, not able to leave.
Wow.
Right? I mean, I literally had to open my door, peek down the hallway this way, peek down the hallway that way, run down the hallway, grab my food, and scurry back like a scared animal. Because if I had gotten caught in Toronto, the fines between local, city, provincial, and national would have equaled somewhere close to $750,000 if I had been caught out in public.
Yeah.
So when this 15th or 16th day, and I was able to, leave the house but not be anywhere near any people, of course. I popped into I think it was a Winners or something up there, bought myself a Team Canada hat. And that became my I just don't feel like showering today because I'm not going to see anybody. Pop the hat on. I still have that hat. Thought about wearing that with the I'm like, nope. We're going to be just a single team today. So Vince, I appreciate you joining us. You can check out Vince's work alongside mine and Shelly Anderson's on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. So Vince, we're going to turn the page now that I'm kind of done praising Team USA. Just what an extraordinary game. And I guess maybe first I will give you a spring-loaded diving board to just kind of go off on that as well. So I know you were watching.
Oh, I mean, I could talk to you about that game for an hour itself. One of the best hockey games I've ever seen. That first period, I think I tweeted, actually, I said, there's no way that they could keep up at this pace. It was the fastest period of hockey speed-wise I've ever seen. And I mean, I said at the beginning of the tournament that the difference between the U.S. and Canada is Canada has a better team, but the U.S. has the better goaltending. And what that proved to be correct today. I mean, man, Hellebuyck played the game of his life.
Yeah, I talked about Jack Hughes kind of just in a moment rewriting his entire narrative. I suppose Connor Hellebuyck did the same. And in the process, and I feel bad because I will take no part in it, but they also kind of reinforced the narrative of Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I will never criticize him. I mean, every time he touched the puck, my wife and I were watching the game, and she's a pretty big hockey fan too. And every time Connor McDavid touched the puck, she said, "Uh-oh."
Well, yeah, I mean, he really got after it, didn't he? I mean, he was playing well.
He played really well, and man, Macklin Celebrini is going to be a problem in these international games for a long time. He was phenomenal as well. I mean, what a great hockey game. What a great Olympics. I mean, all the games, even the preliminary games, like, the games against Italy and France. So like, I just enjoyed all of it. And man, it's the problem that the NHL has is the casual fan, or even nobody who's ever watched hockey, somebody who's never watched hockey before, they watch that game and then they're going to watch, whoever on Wednesday night. And, it's just not going to be the same. And I think that's we never see like a real increase in like viewership after the Olympics, even though the Olympics, I can't wait to see what the television numbers were for this game today.
Oh, it will easily be the most watched game in history.
Yeah.
There's no question. If the women did almost 8 million, which was by far and away a record for women's hockey, I'll bet you the men, even though the timing was terrible, which probably suppressed the ratings a good bit.
Yeah.
We're probably talking 50, 60 million.
It has to be. I mean, it was just such a great tournament. Like I said, the game today, I mean, the overtime games leading up to the game today, you just can't beat it.
I didn't like the earlier medal rounds, the quarters and semis. I thought the ice dimensions, I thought the inferior teams were able to just gum up the game. And it almost felt like Canada, and even in the quarters, the U.S. were almost shadow boxing themselves and losing to that point.
I will agree with you there. Like, I don't understand how they got the dimensions wrong, or didn't, like this was a surprise that the dimensions were wrong.
Vince, I'll cut to it. Screw the metric system.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's based on 10 and if it's easier. Damn it, we won the gold medal. We're Americans. I want the English system everywhere. I want everybody measuring things based on the size of a king's shoe 600 years ago. That's what I want.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I also didn't like about the preliminary round is nobody got eliminated. Like, some of those teams probably should have been eliminated after the, France's and the Italy's and the, it's like, okay, yeah, we played all these games, but it didn't really determine anything other than seeding. That's probably something that I would change. Maybe eliminate the bottom 2 teams or something like that.
Yeah, it was really just so jam-packed. Like, everybody was 2-1 somehow.
Yeah.
Or had a goal differential good enough. Yeah, it was interesting. Ultimately, I guess there really weren't any upsets. First round, quarterfinals. Obviously, some pretty close ones there in the quarters and semis. To think we were probably I'll be generous. I won't say it was a terrible call, giving Canada the tying goal against Finland. Brad Marchand does a cartwheel over UC Saros, created the contact himself. I'm not going to say all of that, Vince. I am going to say if they don't, if they disallow that goal in the semis, the pressure on Canada would have been just suffocating, and they probably lose that game.
Yeah, I mean, Canada definitely had way more scares in this tournament leading up to the gold medal game than the U.S. did, and they needed some luck. Hey, so did the U.S. I'm not, downplaying how they got there either, but man, just what a memorable tournament. And I mean, I was hearing from people today that aren't even hockey fans, like, just like, did you watch that game? Like, it just.
It was unbelievable.
Pulled the whole country together.
Yeah, it really did. And I was so happy that I'm going to get myself in trouble. And these are my views and not necessarily those views of those at Pittsburgh Hockey Now, its parent companies, Disney, or anybody else who might be associated with this on the Odyssey podcast network. I love that the players said they were proud to be Americans. Yeah, I don't care who the president is. Like you said, it brought the whole country together. And
I mean, when Catherine Tappan did that interview with Jack Hughes, I was ready to, as somebody who grew up in the USA hockey programs, and I still pay my dues to them every year for the adult league that I'm in, and I get the USA Hockey magazine. And like, when I'm watching that interview with Jack Hughes, I'm ready to skate through a wall, and I'm sitting on my couch.
I mean, here's a guy who's won a Stanley Cup. And listen, credit to Jackie Redmond. She found an original way to ask the most unoriginal question. I was impressed. She's really kind of coming into her own as a conversational interview sideline report. Maybe the premier in hockey. Like, she really has kind of established, or is establishing herself with a real style that, she broke Jack Hughes. Can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah. I think you said Jackie Redmond. It was Catherine Tappan, I think.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Jackie Redmond when Jack starts crying after the game.
Oh, well, that was later. Yeah, there was two. I was talking about the one he did with Catherine Tappan, but
who also brilliant,
regardless. Yeah, regardless.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm gonna wade into it. The NHL, Cat Tappan and Jackie Redmond are just so good at their job. Comparatively, maybe the other sports do not have such quality. And I'll leave it at that.
I'm not touching that one.
I'm just saying, hockey has they're great.
They are. Even locally here. The Michelles of the world that work for the Penguins, and Haley Hunter, and they're all great as well.
Yeah, maybe it's because you have to really know hockey like inside and out. And let's get into the Penguins. 10 minutes ago I wanted to dive into the Penguins, but I kept talking. Send all letters to the Penguins. Refire the season on Thursday. They practice Monday. I assume Erik Karlsson will be back for practice on Monday. I assume Sidney Crosby will not be back.
Right.
And so it'll be Wednesday before we really know Sidney Crosby's status and prognosis. I don't know, Vince. Just regarding Sidney Crosby, I don't know that he's as healthy as people want to think he is, where he could have played today. I think it was the magnitude of the game, and I don't really put a lot of stock into that regarding the NHL season. I would not be surprised, and I don't know anything, I would not be surprised if he misses a game or three coming back from Milan.
Yeah, I actually think that, if he was not able to play today in the biggest game, hockey game in general in the past decade, how many decades, then
50 years.
Yeah. I don't think that he's going to be ready to play in what is a quote unquote meaningless game on Thursday night against New Jersey. And you know what? They're firmly in a playoff spot right now. If it means that he has to sit out a week or two to get himself back right, then, say to get ready for the playoff run.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. He's earned whatever he needs to do at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't think Sidney Crosby would call Thursday's game against New Jersey meaningless. Be very important to him, but yeah, there is a certain, if the Penguins were like, listen, you're 80%, we sit you for 2 games, you're 95%, sit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a bigger picture in mind. But with, what is it, 26 games to go for the Penguins, some of the teams chasing them, in fact, have less games remaining on their schedules, as few as, say, 24. The Penguins make the playoffs, don't they? Barring something enormous, like Sidney Crosby comes back and needs surgery and is out for the year, something extreme, they do make the playoffs, right?
I think it would be harder for them to miss the playoffs at this point than not than
that's
make
interesting.
them. You know what I mean? Like they would have to play well under 500 hockey to miss the playoffs at this point.
Okay. You know what, Vince, let's put a pause there. We went a little bit long on the Olympic talk. I'm still a little bit wound up actually today. I'll be honest. No. Of course, I also had like 8 cups of coffee watching the game. I didn't need coffee watching that game, but it was that or drink more beer, and I wanted to be fully into the game, right? So I went the coffee route this morning. We're going to take this quick timeout on the No Pucks Given podcast. I'm Dan Kingerski, joined by Vince Comunale, and this is episode 49, which you'll be hearing on Monday, February 23rd, and the week of. We'll be back right after this on the Odyssey Podcast Network. All right, if you're watching on video, here we go. And we're back on the No Pucks Given podcast, episode 49. Maybe it's 50. I honestly don't know. The episode doesn't really matter. The content does. I'm Dan Kingerski. That is Vince Comunale. So, Vince, let's take a look at the coming trade deadline. We're 12 days away, which we're in the red zone now.
Yeah.
The roster freeze ended at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. And so if we're talking and all hell broke loose at 12:01, I apologize. We, can't see into the future. I think there are a couple of pending trades that are really close that could be announced here in the next couple of days before teams begin playing. Let's you and I talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins trade deadline. And there's a handful of pending unrestricted free agents. You'll probably agree with me that, Kevin Hayes, with his salary, also his versatility and his locker room presence, he's not being traded. I just couldn't see a team coming to the table and saying we need Kevin Hayes. Yeah. They couldn't afford it if they did it. That's just not worth discussing. Noel Acciari, to me, would be kind of the one unrestricted free agent I could very easily see being dealt. As well as that fourth line is played, to me, Rutger McGroarty or Avery Hayes could very quickly step in without that line missing a beat. I think he's worth probably a late second round pick, much in the same vein as Anthony Beauvillier. What say you?
Boy, I'd have a hard time breaking up that fourth line, actually. Now, if you could get a second round pick, like you were saying, yeah, if you figure it out from there. Avery Hayes doesn't have the same exact skill set as a Noel Acciari. It's not as obviously this, but it's not like just it's a fourth line, you could plug anybody in there. That's not how it works. That's
very true.
McGroarty could probably fill that role. I don't know if Hayes would fill that role, and I don't know if they would.
Now, what do you think Hayes would lack in that role? Enough beef, or what is it?
Yeah, I don't know if he has the same penalty kill skill set, the block shots. Now, just watching him play, he has the mentality of skating through a wall he fought Zach Aston-Reese last week. He'll do anything it takes to win. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that Noel Acciari has a unique skill set that fits perfectly on that fourth line.
Yeah, bionic Noel Acciari, knee braces, elbow pads and braces. Yeah, when he gets geared up or ungeared after a game, it's more work than you might imagine. That's very fair. That the penalty kill could take a hit. Now, the top three, though, unrestricted free agents or pending unrestricted free agents. Now, this is where it gets really interesting to me because we're talking about Stuart Skinner, Brett Kulak, and Anthony Mantha. I'm kind of taking Ryan Shea off the board as well because I think they're going to keep him. He's happy to stay. They're happy to keep him. It's really not, he's a top 4 defenseman in the Penguins system or a top 6 defenseman in the Penguins system. And I don't see anybody rocking that boat. But with Mantha, now here's a guy, obviously he scores 20 before the break. He's playing what he kind of admitted to me that if it's not the best hockey he's ever played, it's certainly right there with, the best stretches of his career. They could probably get something tangibly good in return for Mantha. What do you think? Do you hold on to him, or do you move him, creating that spot for a McGroarty or an Avery Hayes?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'll probably say the same thing about him. If you can get anything above a second round pick or above, I'd definitely consider it. But man, he's played so well. I'd have to think long and hard about that before I did it. He's just been so good. And yeah, he's having a career year, but they're probably not going to re-sign him. They have too many young guys ready to come up, like McGroarty, like Hayes. I don't think they're going to re-sign him, but at the same time, if you're firmly in a playoff spot, you need guys like Anthony Mantha.
Yeah.
If you want to go far.
Well, I'm in that same vein, kind of, anyway, that a second round pick doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. Not for a guy who has 20 goals and has played as well as he has.
Yeah. And they already have three second round picks in this upcoming draft.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to keep them. That's I think you'll see Kyle Dubas spending heavily using those picks. Right. But if they get more than say a second round, and I'm not talking a 2 and a 4, I'm talking more, like if you can get a good young player that you have your eye on that you believe could step in either now or next season, now that changes the conversation. Or if you get a right-handed defenseman, now that changes the conversation. I don't know if I were Anthony Mantha, I'd be buying green bananas, but I don't think he's really in great danger of being traded.
No, I mean, I've said this to you before. I think that
but I don't listen.
Yeah, well, that's okay. No, not many people listen to me. So I think that Kyle Dubas has already made his biggest moves by trading Jari, by trading for Chinikov, bringing Kulak back, who's playing big minutes. I think that those are the biggest moves. Now, I could definitely see them trying to get a depth right-handed defenseman, maybe trading one of those second round picks or something like that. But other than that, I just don't see a big move coming.
A big move, no, but Brett Kulak is obviously one of the three that I mentioned. And there again, this is kind of the battle. And I go down the list and I wrote the story, I think it was on Thursday or maybe Friday, about the Penguins trade chips, the unrestricted free agents, and what they could bring back in return. I found myself, like the original thought process and sketch, keep him. And then I realized, well, that doesn't help either. Doesn't help the long term. You shouldn't be keeping everybody. Kulak, to me, is a guy you can sign to a 4-5-year contract. He has been so good for the Penguins, so stable, so reliable. He has helped Chris Letang immensely. I thought Letang was starting to play okay through November and into December with Ryan Shea. I thought, okay, they've stabilized. But Letang's game with Kulak has taken a big step forward. And people kind of, some people on the inside explained a little bit of it to me, how much more comfortable Letang is with Kulak. But he could also fetch you quite a bit in return. He could get you a good young player for or from a contender.
Yeah, that's the one that's difficult for me. I would love to see the Penguins sign him to an extension. Like you said, he's bringing the best out of Chris Letang, and he's been nothing but solid. But to your point, I mean, this guy played in the last 2 Stanley Cup finals and was playing big minutes in those finals. And he's kind of been there, done that. And those kind of defensemen don't grow on trees. You could get a good young piece for him if you moved him. So that's probably the most difficult one. The other interesting one that you mentioned earlier is Skinner. Like, I mean, he's your starting goalie. I mean, basically he's getting, 60% of the share right now. And obviously he's been to the last two Stanley Cup finals as well. And it's like, do you just throw all your eggs in one basket for this season? Or do you still have the eye on the prize, which is, building for long-term success? And maybe you could trade Skinner, you bring Miroshov up and go.
Well, Miroshov had the shutout on Sunday, which, by the way, you want to talk about weird anomalies that should not exist and really don't. The Kingerski curse in Wilkes-Barre is unbelievable. They had won 5 in a row. I go up last weekend to cover a pair of home games. They lose 5-0 and 4-3 in overtime. I go home. They've won 3 straight, outscoring their opponent 15-5. It's kind of weird. There are a couple of the players in the room who know about the jinx. And they used to joke about it. They weren't joking about it last weekend because, God, Kingerski's here and we get blown out again. What the hell? But Miroshov has the shutout on Sunday. As long as I'm not there, he's good. I think, and I'll give you my 2 cents and let you run with it, is that I feel like we've probably seen Artur's Shilov's about where he fits into the big picture. I think we feel like he's probably like an 895, 900 goaltender who can win big games, but he's not necessarily the guy who's going to play 50-some games for you. Or at least if he's playing 50-some games for you, he's not going to maintain a 900 save percentage. He's a really good 1A, I think. And because he's a restricted free agent, I think you're talking to Skinner about re-signing. You're keeping Shilov's rights so that you can trade him in the summer. And then you've got Sergei Miroshov.
Yeah, it's a really interesting position. And who would have thought at the beginning of the season, the goaltending would be a area of strength that the Penguins would be.
Nobody thought that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we knew about Miroshov, but I don't know. I mean, do you keep Shilovs around as like your long-term kind of 1A backup? You don't see too many tandems of guys that are under 25 though. Usually you have kind of a veteran guy and a young guy. So that would be an interesting setup.
That makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah. But Skinner, if you sign him, he doesn't want to be the backup. He wants to be the starting goaltender. And, Miroshov is obviously the goaltender of the future. So, even a 2-year deal, I would think in 2 years, Miroshov is the clear number 1 goalie here, maybe even next season. So
he should be.
Yeah. So I don't know, obviously Skinner is enjoying his time here by all accounts, but I think if you ask him, and I would hope that he would say, yeah, I want to be the starting goalie here for the next couple seasons. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, I can't imagine giving him any more than a 2-year contract. If I
was kind of thinking Aiden Hill type contract, 4 years, mediocre money. I think Aiden Hill is 4.5, roughly speaking, over maybe it was at 4.8. It was in that general vicinity, plus or minus. I kind of felt like Stuart Skinner at 4 years, $5 million. And that way you always sort of have a 27-year-old goalie who's there. And if Miroshov does struggle in that transition, I mean, look, at this point, Miroshov has a sub-900 save percentage in his NHL games to this point. You always have that number 1 guy or number 1-ish guy in Skinner who can take the load. And if you're winning, or especially in the playoffs, again next year, you've got him.
Oh, listen, if he would sign a 4-year deal for $4.5 or $5 million, I would absolutely do that.
Okay.
I just can't see him, wanting to do that. I think that he wants to be the number one still. And I think that he, especially, losing the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, though it's hardly all his fault. I think that he is so driven to win a Stanley Cup, which could happen here in the next few years. But if you could sign him for 4 years at 4.5 or 5, I would absolutely do that. You got a guy, even if he's not the starter, you got a guy on your bench that has played in 2 Stanley Cup finals. That's a no-brainer. And you could definitely fetch something for Sheloves in a trade as well. You can.
Well, think about this. Before the season, Edmonton was offering better than what the Penguins paid. And the Penguins paid a fourth rounder for Sheloves. I don't know if Edmonton offered a third or a second to Vancouver. I think it was a second. I've heard kind of the head nod and the whisper that it was a number 2, but Vancouver didn't want him in the same division.
Yeah.
So they, sent him to Pittsburgh. And they also realized he had a much better situation in Pittsburgh than he would have in Edmonton, where the world would have come crashing down upon his shoulders on day one, rather than being given some room and space to breathe. Skinner, I think, is the same way, Vince. I'm spitballing here, and I'm not going to speak for Stuart Skinner. I will tell you my impression is that he's enjoying the situation here, that he doesn't have to be the guy, and he's not facing the criticism, and he's not having to shoulder and carry the pressure that he did in Edmonton, that he's able to enjoy what he's doing a little bit more. I think that carries value. Let's just say Ottawa comes calling in the summertime. They want him to be the number one guy, and he has to think, okay, what am I stepping into here?
Yeah.
Am I the number one guy in a situation that is tenable? Or am I the number one guy in a situation where I'm going to have all this pressure thrown back on me in a situation where I don't have the best chance to succeed? So all of those things.
Oh yeah, there's definitely intangibles that you have to consider as well. And the fan base has certainly embraced him here. Every time he touches the puck, even if he's out behind the net getting the puck for an icing call, that people are stewing in the stands. But like I said, if you could sign him, it's not like he's a 38-year-old goalie or something. He's still young himself. So yeah, if you could get him for 4 years at 4.55, I would definitely take that deal.
So I guess we just have a differing opinion on if he'd accept that $20 million.
Yeah,
fair enough. I suppose agent would play a role, and here's the funny thing, and maybe we should sort of wrap up on this. I see a coming "I told you so" in the Penguins fan base. Everyone is sort of enjoying second place, warming to the idea of the playoffs and the fact that you're not going to get Connor or Gavin McKenna. Everyone's sort of looking forward with a little bit of optimism. When the Penguins don't win the Stanley Cup, they should have sold everybody. It's within 48 hours of the Penguins' final game, which probably won't be a Stanley Cup victory. There's going to be this massive wave of people. They should have just tanked.
Yep.
And I don't know. It's a little bit funny to me. I'm saying this a little bit in jest, but it's going to happen. And I'm curious if you think that let's say they make it to the second round. Obviously, they're going to get let's call it a 20, 22, 24th overall draft pick. Is that a success? Is that a good thing long term?
I think it is. I don't think many people were expecting this team to make the playoffs, let alone have a chance to win a first round matchup. And you got to consider, again, we were just talking about intangibles. Well, I guess this would be a tangible. The money that the franchise makes by the team making the playoffs, more money to spend, up to the cap, which is going to be going up. It's always better for a franchise to make the playoffs than to not make the playoffs, because these young guys, the Ben Kindles and Chinakovs and guys like that, who's never been in a playoffs, they get that 1 year of playoff experience, hopefully more than one round of playoff experience. And, look what happened on the 07 team. They made the playoffs, got beat pretty badly by the Ottawa Senators 4-1. Next season, they're in the Stanley Cup final. And then the next season, they win the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying that same exact scenario is going to play out, but it's better to get that playoff experience than not. I know that there are teams that have missed the playoffs completely and then won the Stanley Cup. I believe the 91 Penguins were one of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen too often, though. So the more playoff experience that you can get for these young players, the better. And who doesn't want to see Sidney Crosby, Chris Letang, and Evgeny Malkin in the playoffs at least one more time?
The playoffs, it changes a man on the inside.
It does.
You mentioned the playoff revenue, Vince. It's December 8th, I think it was, that the potential sale to the Hoffman family became public knowledge. Checking my calendar here. 1, 2. Actually, no, I'm sorry. November 8th. Because I just no. I got back from. I reported in Tampa Bay the sale was still on, so that was December 4th. I wrote that story. So yeah, it was December 8th. We're more than 2 months in. We're getting close to 3 months here, and it hasn't actually gone through as far as we know. I'm just pointing that out. That maybe some playoff revenue would be a good thing for the Hoffman clan if they take over before then. Although I don't know. At this point, do you okay, July 1st you take over. You get to spend all the money on July 1st. We're going to keep the playoff revenue. I could see FSG writing a deal like that.
Yeah, it's weird that became public knowledge months ago, but it still hasn't happened yet. And I know that I don't think there's been a board of governors meeting since then. Maybe that's why, but it seems just very odd that you would announce that and then not actually properly happen for going on 3 months now.
Yeah, I guess this is 2026. We've got technology. Everybody, there's a Zoom call at 2:00. We're going to vote on the Penguins sale. Be there. I suppose that's not how it works. I do recall the sale from Merrill to FSG also taking a little longer than I expected. Vince, let's wrap it up here. It has been a lot of fun. I expected to do about 30 minutes, and I talked about the Olympics for 20. So hopefully everyone enjoyed Team USA. You can like and comment and subscribe, set your downloads, and do all of that. Let me know what you think of the new website and the new subscribers lounge, shall we call it. That's Vince Comunale. I'm Dan Kingerski. My laptop's about to die, so we're going to call an end to No Pucks Given episode 49. Have fun.